Hi everyone, welcome back to another session of Bhagavad Gita introductions. What we are doing today is page 25 and 26 of the hardbound Bhagavad Gita as it is. This is our 12th session of Bhagavad Gita introductions. We are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. To do a recap of what we did last time, we did no question of disbelieving. Krishna is saying, if you remember me at the time you leave this body, you will come back to me. And there is no question of disbelieving because Krishna himself is speaking. We saw different energies of the Supreme Lord, three in number. We said first is marginal energy, we the living entities. Second is material energy. Third is spiritual energy. And we took the example of a river bank and we said river bank has access to water, river bank has access to land. Similarly, we, the living entities, have access to consider this world as an object for our enjoyment, and we have access to consider this world as an object of service for the pleasure of Krishna, and we can choose what to do. And the message of Bhagavad Gita is transfer from material to spiritual. So Krishna is helping us understand that transfer your attention and focus from enjoying this material world to thinking, how can I be of service to Krishna and his parts and parcels? Transferring from material to spiritual, we also saw an example. We said material energy is like we take the skill of reading. So involvement in material energy is we read literature like newspapers, novels, and things like that. Engaging our ability of reading in spiritual energy is we read books which help us to understand ourselves and help us to understand God. Books like Bhagavad Gita, which we said is the graduate study, Srimad Bhagavatam, we said is the postgraduate study, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is the PhD in understanding ourselves and understanding God. So we have a choice to engage our abilities in material or spiritual energy of the Lord. And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is advising us, encouraging us, helping us to transfer our abilities being indulged in material from material to spiritual. Today, we will see prescribed duty plus thinking of Krishna. We will see Krishna never says give up duty. And there is a secret which Krishna is revealing to all of us. We'll start with prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who, with the torchlight of knowledge, has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My dear Lord, and the spiritual energy of the Lord, kindly engage me in your service. I am now embarrassed with this material service. Please engage me in your service. prescribed duty plus thinking of Krishna. We are looking at this verse today. This is verse number 8.7. So, this is a triplet of verses 5, 6, and 7. For the last 2 weeks, we have been seeing 5 and 6, and today Krishna is talking about the third verse in the triplet, text number 8.7. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmarayutya cha mayyarpita mano buddhir mame vaishyasi asamshayah. The English for this Sanskrit is: therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. So, going a little backwards, 8.5 and 8.6, Krishna told us, he said, whatever you remember at the time of death, that is what you will attain. So, whatever we remember when we leave this body, that is where our next destination will be. That is one fact that Krishna gave us. And then Krishna gave us a recommendation. He's saying, think of me at the time you leave this body so you can come back to me. Krishna is very eager for us, the living entities, to go back to him. And so he is revealing this to us, that when you leave this body, if you can remember me, you are going to come to me. Now, today, he is revealing certain specifics of how to remember him. So he says, Arjuna, you should always think of me. So, thinking of Krishna always is one thing that will help us. And then he's saying, at the same time, carry out your prescribed duty. And the next thing he's saying is activities dedicated to me, mind and intelligence fixed on me. This is how one can attain Krishna. Let's review and analyze this a little bit more, because it is very important to understand so we can apply and we can all go back to Krishna at the end of this life, because that is what Krishna wants. Krishna wants us back in the spiritual world because he does not want us to suffer in this material world. That is the reason Krishna is coming to this material world and giving us the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So let's try to understand it a little bit more in detail. So, always think of me. Always think of me. Krishna is not saying, before you go to your office, think of me, and after you come back from your office, think of me. Krishna is telling, always think of me. And Prabhupada is helping us by giving different examples of how we can always think of Krishna. If you see on the right hand side, there is a picture which has a symbol of heart. It says, you are in my heart and always in my thoughts. These are the kind of feelings two lovers have for each other when they are in deep love with one another. So when the boy is sitting at the dining table having dinner, he is thinking of her. He's tying his shoelace, getting ready to go to the office. He is thinking of her. If he has to meet her in the evening, he will make sure he does everything that needs to be done very nicely so something does not come up at the time he has to go meet her. He is very pakka. He does everything very nicely and perfectly so nothing comes in the way when he has to meet her. And all day long, the thoughts he's having is, I want to spend time with her. And he's absorbed in the conversations, the thoughts, and the planning of what he is going to tell her and anticipation of what she will tell him. So the boy is able to think of her always. And at the same time carry out your prescribed duty. So if we take this example of two lovers, the boy and the girl both are carrying out their prescribed duty because they don't want their parents to know about their love affair. So they study properly, they do their office job properly, they do their work and tasks at home very nicely. So nobody suspects that there is something happening and they are engrossed. But internally in their heart, he is thinking of her, she is thinking of him. And at the same time, they are carrying out their prescribed duty. They go to college, they go to work, they do everything very nicely so nobody suspects they are having an affair. Activities dedicated to me, and the fourth one is mind and intelligence fixed on me. So they have their activities planned in such a way that it gives pleasure to their lover. Their mind and intelligence is running and working in a way that they can accomplish things which are pleasing to their beloved. So, the same thing Krishna is saying, you apply in devotion to me. So we all have the ability to always think of someone and at the same time carry out our prescribed duty. And we have the ability to dedicate our activities to someone. And we have the ability to engage our mind and intelligence always for something. And Krishna is telling all these abilities that we, the living entities, have, all these activities, engage them towards Krishna. And when we do that, Krishna lives in our heart and our heart becomes perfect because Krishna lives inside our heart. So Krishna's message is always think of me. While you are doing your prescribed duty, you think of Krishna, and once we do any activity, we offer it as a service to Krishna, and our mind and intelligence is always thinking how I can serve, how I can pass on this message of Krishna that I know unto one another person so he may be benefited and by that Krishna may be pleased. So our whole absorption is in thinking, how do I carry out my prescribed duty so I have enough time to do my service, my chanting of the holy name, my reading of Bhagavad Gita. I have time for all these. How can I do my office work very efficiently so I have time to do activities that help me to move towards Krishna? Our mind and intelligence, let's engage our mind and intelligence in such thoughts, and from there on, Krishna helps us to move in a direction that we can attain Him. So Krishna is telling, always think of me. At the same time, carry out your prescribed duty, activities dedicated to me, mind and intelligence fixed on me. You will attain me without a doubt. Some people have a notion that bhakti yoga means give up your duty. But in this verse, Krishna is very clearly saying, carry out your prescribed duty. And he's adding another component to it, saying, carry out your prescribed duty, always thinking of me. So let's understand the principle very nicely, then we will be able to apply it properly. When we don't understand principles, then it is difficult for us to apply, or we go and misapply things. So, one more time, Krishna never says, give up your duty. And Krishna is revealing a secret to us. He's saying we don't work with our mind. Sorry, he's saying we don't work with our body. Really? We say we are working with our body, right? I take my food, put it in my mouth. Hey, I'm using my hands to put the food in my mouth. How do you say we are not working with the body? I walk to my office, or I take a bus, or whatever. I am working with my body. But Krishna is saying we don't work with our body. Really? Let's see how. He says we work with our mind and intelligence. And if we look at a scenario, I work in a bank. So the way we start projects is the project is divided into different phases. And the very first phase of the project is the planning phase. And they give enough amount of time for the planning phase as good as the second phase, which they call as execution phase. So if a project is to run for a year, then 6 months is the estimated time for planning, and then 6 months is the execution time. So in the first phase, which is planning, we plan how we will execute things. We plan what communication needs to go to which department to kickstart the project. We plan what meetings need to happen. We plan who all will be impacted by our project. Then we know who to communicate to, and then we make a plan how we will work with different teams and departments, so we resolve the impact that the team will have when our project rolls out. So you take different segments of the project and see what is the impact, and then you go work with the teams that will get impacted to see how you will resolve that impact when your project rolls out. So people are well informed. It is not a surprise for people when you are about to roll out the process or the project. So if you see, half of the work is planning. So we are actually working with our mind and intelligence, because there are thoughts in the mind. We want to accomplish something, and then our intelligence says, okay, you could do this way or you could do that way. And then we make a choice, okay, I want to do it that way. And then the body moves to execute that plan which the mind and intelligence together worked it out. So Krishna is saying we don't work with our body, we work with our mind and intelligence. And now Bhagavad Gita is teaching us how to absorb our mind and intelligence in thought of Krishna. And when we have such an absorption, that absorption will enable one to transfer himself to the kingdom of God, which is the goal of life. So, the secret that Krishna is telling us is total absorption in thoughts of Sri Krishna. That is the message that he is giving us. And I would like to read this paragraph with all of you. The paragraph from the introduction, from where I made this slide, because it's a very nice paragraph. So let's go there. And if any of you has not yet accessed Bhagavad Gita as it is online, then let's do that together right now. So we all know how to get access to Bhagavad Gita as it is, so we can all read. I open my browser, I'm going to vedabase.com. It in turn points me to vedabase.io/en, but what I type here is vedabase.com, and it lands me on this page. I see the picture Bhagavad Gita as it is. I go here, and what we are doing is introduction. So I can go to introduction, and we are somewhere in the middle of the introduction. And if I want to search where I am, so we are doing text number 8.7, which Krishna is putting right in the middle of the introduction. So I can do a Control F search for 8.7. It takes me to this verse which we just read, and the paragraph that we are doing now is right under that verse, and I would like to read that paragraph with all of you because the paragraph inspired me a lot. So this is the paragraph here, and we will just read this. Krishna says, we work not with our body actually, but with our mind and intelligence. So, if the intelligence and the mind are always engaged in the thought of the Supreme Lord, then naturally the senses are also engaged in His service. Superficially, at least, the activities of the senses remain the same, but the consciousness is changed. The Bhagavad Gita teaches one how to absorb the mind and intelligence in the thought of the Lord. Such absorption will enable one to transfer himself to the kingdom of the Lord. If the mind is engaged in Krishna's service, then the senses are automatically engaged in his service. This is the art, and this is also the secret of Bhagavad Gita. Total absorption in the thought of Sri Krishna. So that's our reading paragraph, and moving ahead. How? Oh, how to apply this in our life, how to absorb oneself in the thoughts of Krishna. We have been discussing two application points which we will review. Application point number 1 is chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, application point number 1 says, please take 10 minutes. Please take at least 10 minutes in a day and chant this mantra. This mantra is like internal bath. As we take a bath every day, the chanting of this mantra is purifying our soul. So at least take 10 minutes every day to start with and chant the Hare Krishna mantra. That's our application point number 1. And our application point number 2 is take 10 minutes every day and read Bhagavad Gita. So these are good starting points for anybody to start with to absorb our mind, our intelligence in Krishna. And as we start to absorb our mind and intelligence in Krishna, our activities from there will flow in the service of Krishna. And as we move on, we can do more of these activities if we feel like. Summary of what we spoke up until now is prescribed duty plus thinking of Krishna. Krishna is encouraging us to do our prescribed duty at the same time think of Krishna. We discussed the example of two lovers, how they are engrossed in the thoughts of each other while they are doing their prescribed duty. We have to transfer that tendency we all have in thinking of Krishna. So, while doing our prescribed duty, trying to think of Krishna, become absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. Krishna never says give up your duty. We saw that Krishna is not telling Arjuna, Arjuna, don't fight, sit and think of me. Krishna is saying, Arjuna, fight, and while you're fighting, think of me. And Krishna revealed this secret to us. He's saying, when you work in such a way with your mind, intelligence, activities, focused and absorbed in me, you will attain me. That's what we have for today. Please feel free to send in any texts if you like at any point in time. I'll be happy to answer back and assist to the degree Krishna allows me to. Wish you all a very happy weekend. Stay safe and let's all pray that our thoughts and our mind can be absorbed in the in our intelligence and our mind can be absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna always, so we can attain the goal of life, which is remembering Krishna while we leave this body. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much.